Alrighty, and hi everybody, and welcome back to another fig review. What? Wow! So it is the Darkstalkers, Felicia and Morgan. I don't know why. For some reason, because there's two R's, I always go Morrigan, and it's like I know you can just say Morgan. By Kotobukiya in the Bishoujo figure series. As anyone knows, I love the Kotobukiya figures, and I love especially their Bishoujo scales. I think they're really cute. But we're gonna start with Morgan because she is the older of the two. I actually just got her super late. Koto US was just being slow. Also, I have a new phone, so if anything weird is afoot, it's because I'm not really quite used to it yet. But here is the outside of Morgan's box. It's pretty simple, straightforward. What I love about Kotobukiya is they always do these like die cut windows. They got the freaking Batman symbol, but you know, it's fine. And then she has like this really nice purple to black, just cute pictures of the actual figure. Always love that there is the art on the side and all these like cute little details on the side. They do a really good job of just like making them kind of interesting. On the top of the box, it's another Batman symbol and the warnings as per normal. So all right, and here is Felicia. So the front of her box, it's a very similar styling. I did notice that she had the little gold sticker of authenticity, but Morgan didn't. They're both legit though, so I don't know, whatever. A little advertisement for the Lilith that's going to be coming out, which I do plan on getting as well. And again, the cute art on the side. I always love seeing the little like initial art. I don't know, they're cute. We got the top claw die cut, and I mean, yeah, exactly. Now, let's go ahead. We'll actually look at the figures. I just want to look at the boxes first, kind of get them out of the way. Since we're actually starting with Morgan first, I want to show the box inside. Look, it's the moon. It's got a really pretty like purple background with like the cloud accents at the bottom too. And the moon is like got like a purple hue over top of it, so it's not just like a straight blue. I just like Kotobukiya packaging, and the packaging is not the most important part, but it does just add to the experience. You know what I mean? All right, now she has definitely got a lot going on package wise. So she's got two big pieces of plastic, one on the back, one kind of wrapping around on the front, bubble wrap on the wings, a plastic piece under her hair and over her chest, and just one over her little baby bat wings. Here she is out of the packaging, and you guys, it looks so good. Like the whole time of me setting this up, I've just been making stupid noises because she looks so good. I just like her. I like her a lot. So anyways, let's look at her closer. I am so excited. Starting right off the bat first with her super great face. I mean, you guys, it is such an expressive face. And so different, especially for these Bishoujo figures. Tongue is sticking out, fully sculpted. She even has like her little fangs too. It looks so good. It adds so much like depth with how they sculpted it. Not to mention she has all of her like actual pink eyeshadow on her eyes. It's just a decal, but huge eyelashes. Like her actual like eyelash line is thick, adding kind of onto the expression. You can see as well the actual decal eyebrows sticking out underneath that are like that teal green. This is just so good. It's just so nice. Like what a good expression, bro. It's so nice. Sticking in the head region, we do have her really lovely hair. For again, so good. The painting is so dynamic. Kotobukiya can go kind of heavy-handed with the paint sometimes, but I think this was in this figure's benefit this time. I mean, you can see like under her hair, it's like a dark blue. And then once we get outside, it's back to that kind of like tealy mint. And there is some highlighting even on the bang where they like dusted some white on there. So it's giving her like the right amount of shine. All the strands themselves are really nice and really full. I mean, like, look how much hair she has and all the different strands. We once again see like the light highlighting up top here and then these dark parts inside and at the tips. So it's just adding a lot of dimension to her hair. I really, really love it. Look at all those hair strands. They're just everywhere. Hair strands, hair strands, hair strands. I also really love the sculpt on the bangs. There's a couple kind of funky parts like here. Bloop. It's where it's not like super neat or super crisp. Now, I've gotten a lot of Kotobukiya figures. That's kind of a normal thing. Sometimes their sculpts can be a little bit funky on some parts. And again, I think some of that even comes from like the thick paint. Before we move on to the rest of the figure, we do also have her little, I don't know if there's a term for these, her little earwings. Is there a name for those? I don't know. Nicely detailed. They have the gloss on top. You can even see, even though it's the glossy paint, there's a lot of texture on the back of the bat wing here. So there's a lot of like, I don't know what to describe it as. Bat texture. Okay, but then on the front side, you can still see some of that like kind of batty texture, I guess, under the wings, but a little bit less intense. But it's got that nice purple magenta color. The two little wing claws, they're not the best. I mean, the one is on this side, on the left here, is a little bit funky looking compared to the one on the right. Like, I think the paint definitely didn't go on the way it was intended on the left side. Moving on, we've got a lot going on in the front. There's a lot going on here, you guys. Wooga. With being respectful, there is a shading inside the corners here, and also on the chest and inside like the actual armpit area. There's like a little bit of like a kind of like a rosy pink. There's a lot of like just movement, I guess. This is making me giggle so much. Women. But it's sculpted really nice. I mean, they added like a lot of movement with how they have her posed. I'll leave it at that. You know what I'm trying to say. And then she has her little heart window underneath, still with shading on the actual skin too, so that's pretty crazy. The fur that she has sticking out on the sides, I think it's really lovely. It looked like it was clear and painted with the like white and the kind of pink paint on top of it. It's very light pink dusting on there just to kind of give it a little bit extra volume. You can see it a little bit more here where it's being shaded, but just kind of to give it like a kind of light feeling. I think they wanted to use the white on top of the clear translucent plastic so that way it could look a little bit fluffier. But it's really nice. There's a lot of like little folds underneath everything, like just actual layers of the fur. So it's just really nicely layered. A couple things you can see like the seams here, but again, if it's on the back, like we can move on. Her arms. I think her hands are fantastic. They add a lot of expression to the actual figure itself. Her left hand just kind of like, you know, doing the dainty kind of like laugh expression. And then her other hand just holding up the booby holder. Again, adding like a lot of expression with the hands. And just like, you know, she has her one pinky up. It's dainty, but still like very forceful, if that makes sense almost. She also has her orange arm sleeves. Pretty basic, honestly. I mean, there's still some shading you can see, like where it's like a deeper orange at the bottom and then kind of a like lighter orange on the more broad areas. Anyways, moving on to her big old wings, the big wings. Now, I think the wings on her, first of all, look at that. Look how good that looks, bro. But one thing I will say with when I was kind of moving these around, these definitely feel like the most fragile parts of the figure. So make sure that if you're moving her or taking her out of the box, you're being especially careful. The louder the noise is on a figure piece, I feel like the more fragile it is. It might not be that bad, but they even kind of move a lot, even with me just kind of applying gentle pressure to it. So, but they did add a lot of texture on the inside of these. I mean, this is kind of more like a crackly kind of effect instead of like that weird, almost just grainy effect that we saw on the little ones. But they have this really cool, like purple magenta. I think you can see a little bit better on this one. It is kind of like a clear color almost. And it starts with this lighter magenta at the bottom, and then it goes up into this like really deep magenta up at the top. And once again, we have the bat wing little claw at the top. See how it's got like that purple at the bottom and then the white on the top tip. I think, again, much better on these ones than those top ones. Those top ones were a little bit funky, to be honest. And then there's also the back of her bat wings. They're that weird kind of grainy texture, I guess, but there is like the wrinkles on the back here. Like you can see there's a lot of folds. I think it just adds a cool bit of dimension to that texture since there's not any shading on these black parts. It is just this glossy plastic. Oh, and I didn't even talk about like the middle of her actual outfit. You have like all these wrinkles in the black as well. That part, it does look like it is shaded, so there's like some lighter grays on some of the broader areas. Then she has her belly button. Now her legs, there's again really good shading on her because we have like the dark pinks up in the corners and in any of these folds, but then it goes into these light pinks on the outside when it gets to these broader areas. But the leggings that she has, or the stockings that she has, I think are really nicely sculpted. There's a lot of wrinkles on them, and all the different wrinkles are highlighted really well as well. Not to mention there's all the bat designs that are peeking out on the corners. It just looks good. Her lovely boots. She got the big heel stompers on. Just a shiny black with some, again, gray to shade at the tops, and then like deeper blacks in the bottom pieces. Now, one thing I noticed, the black on this, in particular on her actual leotard and her boots, there were some like plastic secretions, like the plastic juice, something that you can see like if the plastic sits for a long time, or if maybe like weather is changing, which it has been lately. We're getting towards the winter time. You may have seen it in certain shots if you were like really looking close, but only on the black parts that I noticed it was because plastic leaks, it sweats. Don't know that's a common thing, but this is the second time I've noticed it. So, and then her base. I just really like the way her base looks. It's shaded nicely. There's a lot of textures to it. It's kind of like, it almost looks soft. Looks like chalk. I want to chew it. But let's move on to Felicia. Of course, as I mentioned before, I want to show you the inside design. And boom, she has a blue background, with her moon being a lot more blue and blue hued. You can see the clouds at the bottom again. It's not quite as noticeable because it's like almost the same color, but less excited about this one. Still not bad, but Morgan's was better. Oh no, you guys, she has a dreaded support beam. This figure feels like it doesn't really need one. All right, but we're gonna go ahead and take her out of the packaging. She has, boom, one kind of less clear poly thing, one big one on the back side of her that wraps around a little bit on the front, one on her hand, one on her other hand, one on her tail, one on her one hair cat whisker thing, and one on the other. And her support beam just has tape protecting it. Oh, and there is bubble wrap in the back. Okay guys, so we got the support beam. The worst part about support beams is not really knowing exactly where it's supposed to go, and the instructions do tell you how to do it. You're supposed to slide it under the tail and then put it into this groove into her hair, which this is kind of the easiest place to see where it's supposed to go. The angle they show you is like from this angle, and it doesn't really make sense exactly where it's supposed to fit. It doesn't really feel like it did anything in my opinion. And maybe it's not in the exact right spot. It was really hard to tell where they were telling me to put this, and that's my least favorite thing about support beams. I'm gonna set it aside. We can't really use it right now anyway, so. But there is Felicia out of the box. She looks still great. I mean, she's got a really interesting pose, a really interesting face. Again, her hair is huge. Look how big her freaking hair is. I'm so excited. Both of these figures, again, very different for me because of just how scantily clad they are. And then just like these girls are just so crazy. It's exciting. They're fighting game girls. It's cool. But let's look at her closer. All right, so first thing we're gonna start with is, of course, her lovely face. I mean, first of all, she's got cat girl face, so she's got the cat eyes and the irises. She has her dark blue eyelashes. They're a very dark blue. They almost look black, but there is a little bit of blue in them. She also has really huge eyelashes too, but in a very different way. Hers are more pointed than Morgan's. And she has still eyeshadow as well, but it's more of like a deep brown, maybe with a little bit of red. Her mouth also fantastically sculpted. Two figures, both with the tongue kind of being a main focus. Very sculpted, where you can even see the teeth and the fangs. I think she does have, it is very subtle, but there is a little bit of pink blushing on her cheeks. It's very light. They're kind of like a little circle blushing, but I think it just kind of adds a nice little bit of roundness to her face. Also love that her nose sculpt is a little bit different than a lot of the other girls, because she has like kind of more of, they made it look more cat-like with the way it's pointed, and then even like with her cupid's bow, her hair, it's huge. Her hair's huge. Like she has, first of all, this big, huge bang just right off the bat that we have to like maneuver around in order to look at her face. She as well also has like these deep blues in these corners, and then like a lighter blue as top. Not quite as dramatic as how we saw on Morgan's, but she also has her little cat ear headband, and it's got like this cute soft pink on the tops here, and then the little fluffy furs sticking out as well on both sides. But her big hair whisker things that are huge going all the way around the figure here, I mean, like they go out a lot, especially this top one. I mean, it adds a lot of distance on there. And then this kind of cat whisker is a little bit more bendy, moving. I once again love all the strands. I mean, she has like this cute little like one loose strand and this one kind of separate from the big chunk of hair. Once you get to the actual back of the hair too, I mean, you got all these little tiny pieces down at the bottom that are separating from, again, that big chunk that we see up top. She's even got like this rogue one here, but it's the right amount of rogue hair for her design. She's got thick hair. I think they could have pushed it a little bit more for her hair, but I don't think it's a bad thing because she doesn't really have as many like shines in her hair. She's just got big, thick, dark blue hair. Moving right along though, a simple white collar on her neck. Her skin is really nicely painted. She's got a lot of skin here, obviously, but there are some like deeper tones of like a dark brown in her collarbones. And again, once we get like into some of these shaded areas like her armpits here and in between the toddies, again, it's a lot of skin, you guys. That's a lot of skin. It's a lot of woman, okay, you guys? I mean, all these different weird fur wrappings all across her body. But the fur on all these little pieces is well textured. I mean, you can see it on there. There is shading on some of the bigger parts, like you can actually kind of see on her arm. There's like some blue dusting on the inside corners, like here, on her actual elbow. And some of these like fur tuft. I love the pink that they chose for her grippers. I love that like light baby pink, and then these like really neon pinks for the claws here, and the, how shiny they are in comparison to everything else. I think looks really good. Now, one thing I don't love, I mean, you can see that gap there between her paw pad and the actual hand itself. There were very clearly two different types of plastic and paint used there, and I think it just kind of it didn't translate well when they actually put on the figure, and it's just kind of clunky. You can kind of see some of that separation on this one too here. And we also have this paw. I love the color on the nails, like that deep kind of like almost magenta to that neon pink looks so good. A lot of detailing on her arms though, a lot going on here. I think they could have pushed some of the shading a little bit more on her skin. I don't think they would have needed to go too much more crazy because it's still skin. It can't look like super different. But I think some stuff could have been either a little bit deeper or maybe a little bit like a rosy highlighting on certain parts. The shading on this and like some of the attachment of the pieces here is getting a little bit funky. Maybe that's just on mine. Look how like there's like the mark there, and like I don't know. It just looks a little bit crunchy there. Her big leggies. She got the grippers out for free, dog. It's the same thing we've been seeing with the shading. I think the feet are shaded a little bit more than some of the other parts though. The actual knee is shaded really nicely, like, oh my gosh. She got her tobies, these really intense claw shading with that deep magenta to that neon pink. We also have the back. Look at her tobies. What I love about these two figures, they have such very different color scheme bases, but they don't seem too distinct. But she's got this just triangle square design with a peachy color and a pinky color. It's in simple but interesting base, which is what's important about it. So before we can see the booties of these two lovely ladies, we are now starting a new tradition. Even though Daniel is asleep at the door, we have to get good advice before we can see the booties because it taints our mind. So Daniel's, there's your doubloon. He's like, all right, anyways. So let's give it an old spin. Oh, 2 things. Double luck. 2 things for 2 figures. So we have, this is kind of cryptic though. We got a little army man and a little tank. 2 little war guys is like double bad luck. But even though wars and battles are tough and you might be fighting with something right now in your life, wars end. So don't worry, you'll make it through. Wow, we got 2 things on a double feature. It's like destiny, bro. Anyways, let's go ahead. We'll start with number 1. You probably already saw it. I mean, it was out, but like, yo, my guys, look at, like, there's a lot of cheek here, okay? Good cheek. And then we have the second cheeks, which is just straight cheeks, first of all. I mean, she's caked, bro. Felicia's caked. All right, guys. Well, that is going to bring us to the end of this double feature video of the Kotobukiya Darkstalker girls that I have so far. I obviously really love these figures. I love Kotobukiya. I'm a Kotobukiya stan. The paint, the poses, the faces, fantastic. A couple small nitpicks like not liking the support beam and then some of the stuff with the plastic attachment and paint. I will be posting more pictures of these girls on my figure Instagram. That is going to be at Desunasis. I post pictures of all of my figures there and updates for when new videos and things come out. It's all figures, all toys, and you can find me at all these other places as well. I have my Instagram where I just post daily updates, pictures, art, cosplay, etc. because I'm a weeb. My Patreon where I upload full versions of these videos beforehand, so there's extra commentary, footage. I do now have my Discord as well. It's been a lot of fun. We just hang out and we talk. Just last week we watched a movie together, or multiple movies actually. We're just sitting around hanging out watching the Rescuers Down Under and then the Rescuers. And if you like my video, you should subscribe. I'm making videos weekly again and I'd love to see you around. But I hope you had a great last week and I hope you have a great rest of your next week. And I will see you later. Bye. Bye.